We were doing so well. In fact, about an hour ago, we were at $47,000 in Bitcoin, and then the price started to come down, and it came down quite quickly, now at 46,000. And that is because we've had some commentary from the Fed, and they are saying that they're looking for more downside activity in the economy. And that sent Bitcoin, and it set the NASDAQ down. The NASDAQ's down now about 1.3%. So we're going to cover all of that on the show today, and we're going to look at the top 5 altcoin investments for the month of April. I've got a surprise guest for you, one of the most influential investors in the space. And together, we're going to work out the best 5 investment coins for April 2022. I think it's going to be so much fun. We're also going to be doing a whole lot of giveaways. I've got a whole lot of giveaways, including ADASwap, which has listed already. So it's already listed, and it is trading at, let's have a look here. So it is trading at about 7x, 7 times the price of the IDO, which means that if you won $200, you got 7 times that. So you got $1,400, and it's just listed. So it's going to be a big show. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be one of our most fun shows. Let's do this. People are asking if Kyle can do this dance. I mean, can Kyle do this dance?
I'm a singer.
Kyle can't do this dance. Kyle can't do this dance. Yo, guys. I promise you we're going to be on time today, and then the streaming software changed their software. So we had to upgrade our software in order to do it. But we're here, and we're bringing you a big show. So big apologies for anyone that was waiting. We do try and start on time, but 2 things keep us from starting on time. One is when news breaks, and today news did break as we were about to go live. And 2 is when we have technological issues. So that's what we do. Remember, we go live just when the morning news cycle begins in the United States. And so a lot of stuff is changing as we go live. Anyway, be that as it may, we're here. We're ready to bring you guys a huge show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing giveaways when we get to 3,000 likes. We're not doing giveaways until we get to 3,000 likes. And the giveaways are now worth, confirmed, 7 times what you win. So if you win, say you win $200 worth of ADASwap, you basically winning 7 times that. 7 times that. So I think you want to win today, and then also we'll be doubling someone's portfolio. So we will be doubling people's portfolio today. So if you're new to our channel, welcome. Welcome. I think this is the most fun, the best community in the world. We're tight. We're tight. We're a tight community, and it's every single community member is important to us, and we're trying to change everybody's life. So join the community, subscribe to the channel, and if you have been here for a while, like this content. When we get to 3,000 likes, that's when we're going to start doing giveaways. And I must say, I think we're the only channel that does so many giveaways. I mean, have you ever seen a channel that's given away millions and millions and millions of dollars? All right, let's get this show on the road. What do you say, guys? Let's do this. As George would say. So today we're going to talk about the Bitcoin price. So we are looking at the Bitcoin price. It's down again. It's weird because a few minutes ago, let's look at the 1 hour chart. If you look at the hourly chart, and you'll probably see the wick. We had a wick and we went to over 47,200. And then we've had 2 red candles, and that's, I think, because of this Brainard saying, I'm watching the yield curve and other data for suggestions of increased downside activity risk. So there are people that are skeptical, despite the fact that we do have Michael Saylor, who has announced that he's bought $190.5 million worth of Bitcoin. You'll remember that he took a loan from Silvergate Bank. He took a $210 million loan from Silvergate Bank, and he said he was going to buy Bitcoin with that loan. So now he's been in the market. He bought it at an average price of 45,714. So that's typical Michael Saylor style. You know what he does? He waits for the price to go down. He buys out of the bear cycle, but he never buys at the bottom. He always buys just a little bit above the bottom. And I keep thinking to myself, if I was trading for Michael Saylor, I think Michael Saylor would have a much better entry price. If Kyle was trading for Michael Saylor would be in and out of the market every 20 minutes. So Monday morning, 8 o'clock, he'd be in. Half an hour later, he'd be out. Half an hour later, the moon would change, and then he would be in. Right now, you see that he has a total of 129,218 BTC, which is $4 billion, and his average price is 30,700. I reckon if I was Michael Saylor's trader, I think he would have gotten at 27,000. I think that's how much better I could do it. Anyway, Michael, if you're listening, 1, you're welcome back on Banter, and 2, if you need someone to do your trades for you, I can do them, or if you want, Kyle can do them for you. It's up to you. Depends whether you want to make money or not. while Michael Saylor is buying, but then Kwon stopped buying. And remember, I said it was a little bit strange how Kwon kept announcing his market buys before actually buying. Now, if you're a trader or if you're an investor and you're buying such big quantities of Bitcoin, the last thing you want to do is alert the market and say, hey guys, pump up the price because I'm coming in here with a check of $1.5 billion. But that's what he did. And now he's kind of changing his tune a little bit. So this is from a Twitter Spaces that happened yesterday, but listen to what he said.
Okay, and so I'm looking at your the wallet. I'm assuming it's the only one that's accumulating your Bitcoin, and it looks like there hasn't been any accumulation for this is the fourth day.
4 whole days.
Tell us a little bit about your acquisition strategy, why the pause, and when you might resume.
4 days.
Well, so we plan to be relatively price agnostic with these purchases. So we plan to be doing these in a regular cadence. But that's not to say that we can't time the markets at all. And I think we're just trying to be prudent traders a little bit here.
Oh, I see. There was a little bit too much steam in the market, was there?
Yeah, I think, look, so like one thing that I absolutely want to stress is that even when we were buying these clips every day, or I think in one day it was like almost 2 a day, for an asset like Bitcoin, it sees about $20 billion worth of turnover every day, right? And then there's also pretty healthy demand in the OTC markets. So if we did this quietly, $150 million a day would not move the markets at all, right? I think even with this, I would attribute.
So why did he do this? Why did he keep announcing
small
this?
Price fluctuation that we saw more to the equity markets being fairly bullish around the same time, rather than like us having anything to do with it. I think just people spun it out of context into a narrative that just.
Look, I'm not sure that I agree. I'm not sure that I agree. I think that, him saying that he's coming into the market and he's coming in with 1.5 billion, 3 billion, 10 billion, I think that made a huge market impact. And that's what kept the market going. And then there was also a Michael Saylor announcement that he was, he raised the 210 million before, and now he's finished buying. And the question is, well, the first question is, in fact, it's not even a question, but whilst these guys are looking to buy dips, I think the ultimate flex, the ultimate flex is CZ, where he says, look, I don't buy dips anymore because I just simply don't have any more fiat. So that for me is the ultimate flex. But the question is whether all this buying has propped up the market enough to get retail investors back into the market, because that's what we need to be driving this market. We need interest in Bitcoin. And the question is whether this little bull market that we've had, powered by Kwon and Michael Saylor, is enough to get the FOMO back into the market, enough to bring the retail investors back into the market. Because when the retail investors come into the market, the investors that have been here all along start to reap their dividends, and that's us. So, what we're waiting for is I'm looking at the 1 hour chart. If I was looking at the 1 minute chart, I'd be much more like Kyle. Remember, we want to be in early. We want to be in around here. We want to be in early here, and we want to ride up when the retail investors come in and start FOMOing into the market. And you can see that we're pretty early in the cycle if this is a new cycle. And the question is retail actually starting to come back to bite? And the answer lies in the on-chain data. So if we look at the on-chain data and we look at the small retail accounts, we can see that the small retail accounts are starting to accumulate faster than they've ever accumulated. And it's in two classes. It's in accounts with less than 0.01 Bitcoin and accounts with less than 0.1 Bitcoin. So accounts with less than $4,500 worth of Bitcoin and accounts with less than $450 worth of Bitcoin. So the real small accounts. And they seem to be accumulating quite aggressively, as you can see. You see, so here they're accumulating quite aggressively. Now, what Will Clemente says is he says that when retail FOMO, and we're in that period now where retail are FOMOing. Okay, so traditionally tops have happened when retail are FOMOing. So you can see, like here, retail FOMOed in, there was a top. Here, retail FOMOed in, there was a top. Here, retail FOMOed in, there was a top. Here, retail FOMOed in, no top. Okay, so here, retail FOMOed in, little top. Now, he's saying either retail are using this finally as a savings account. Finally, they've discovered Bitcoin as a savings account, or we are nearing a top. That's the big question. That's the big question here. But this time, it is a little bit different. And the reason why it's a little bit different this time is because this time we're getting Bitcoin being taken off exchanges more aggressively than we've ever seen this before. So usually people leave Bitcoin on exchanges because they want to trade the cycle. But here what we're seeing is that the Bitcoin are being taken off the exchanges faster than they've ever been taken before. And in fact, if you look at where we were before when this happened was around September 2020. And that began a massive bull cycle. So the data lines up with the fact that we may be getting into the cycle. But there are some naysayers, there are some skeptics, there are some people that are pretty nervous, and there are a lot of them. So you can see that the first thing that we're seeing is that the volume has not yet returned into the Bitcoin market. So you've got the volume is down 26% relative to the first quarter of 2021. And in the first quarter of 2021, Bitcoin went up 103%. In the second quarter, in Q1, the return is negative 1.46%. So what we're seeing is that retail is not back in the market. FOMO is not back in the market. And until that happens, we're not going to get the market running. Now, this could mean two things. It could mean that we're in a bounce in a bear market. It could mean that. So you see Adam Cochran says this. He says, I think the upcoming CPI print and aggressive May FOMC, meaning that the Fed's going to increase rates aggressively in May, is going to slow down the economy much faster. And so he says it feels more like a bear market rally than it feels like a turnaround, a full turnaround like the one we had last year. And if you look at the derivatives or the options data, the options data is showing you that the spot is bearish and that the futures, the options, there's a lot of put options, which effectively means that people are hedging, which means that people are hedging their risk. So that's what's happening on the one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, remember, we've got a big week ahead of us with BTC Miami. So in 2 days, I think we're going to get the Apple announcement, and then we're going to get a whole lot of other announcements. And remember that this is the biggest Bitcoin event in the world. It's streamed live, so everyone can watch it. We'll be posting a few links. In fact, we should do a live stream when Jack Mellars comes on, and we should watch it together with the community. We must remember that. We'll post a live stream, and we'll do a live streaming of the Jack Mellars Bitcoin 2022 event. Also, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the UK is changing its tune on Bitcoin. And I don't know if you guys saw, but their Secretary to the Treasury, he basically said that the UK is going full bull on Bitcoin, on crypto.
And there are a wide range of views in between. Some people worry deeply about crypto and about how it's going to harm consumers or provide a platform for illicit activity free from government oversight or drive up carbon emissions. Others say it's the best thing ever. They argue that crypto could do things like revolutionize global finance by making financial exchanges more transparent, efficient, and democratic, and placing currency in the hands of people, not nations. And that leaves us here in the UK with a big question to answer. How are we going to respond? Well, our answer is this.
This is a good part. Listen carefully.
If crypto technologies are going to be a big part of the future, then we, the UK, want to be in and in on the ground floor. In fact, if we commit now, if we act now, we can lead the way. We hear the concerns, some of which are valid. And that's why in this country we've already said that we'll seek to protect consumers by legislating to bring certain crypto assets into the scope of financial promotions regulation. And it's essential that investors understand the risks that they are taking.
So basically the UK going all in, but they're going to regulate it. They're bringing in more retail investors, or going all in means that they need more regulation to protect the investors. So that's a good sign. You're seeing that countries are now starting to fight for crypto adoption. So you saw the US with the executive order, you saw Dubai coming out. Dubai and the Emirates really want to take over crypto. Now you've got the UK really wanting to take over crypto. The UK, I think, has made a bit of a mistake with their legislation last week. We spoke about that last week. Russia is now, I mean, I don't know if you guys read this, but Russia is now very much against the dollar. Now, obviously, this is posing because of the war, but they are saying that you can, if you want to buy stuff from them, you can either buy it in Bitcoin or you can buy it in Russian currency, but you can't buy it in dollars. You can't buy it in dollars. They're saying that Russia has no interest in dollars, saying that this currency turns into candy wrappers for us. I mean, obviously that's war posturing, but you can see that their attitude is around, you can also trade Bitcoins. You can also trade this kind of stuff in Bitcoin. So now obviously that's a lot of that is part of war posturing and whatever else. But you can see that nations are starting to accept it on a much more macro scale. So if you're looking at the micro stuff, like Kyle, and you're trading the 10-minute charts, that's one thing. And if you're looking at the much bigger time frame, well, that's something else.
It's the 4-hour chart.
You know, speaking of Russia, I got to just show you this. I read this and it made my blood boil, because Airbnb have switched off in Russia. So you can't book an Airbnb in Russia. You can't do that anymore. But now what they've started to do is any Russian property owner that wants to rent out their property. So if you live in the US and you're Russian and you've got a link to Russia, then you can't use the Airbnb service. Can you imagine that? Like it's really targeting people because they were born in Russia. And this is again talking about the need for decentralized services, like a decentralized Airbnb, because we can't have these big platforms banning things. That, or what we'll see is we'll see Elon Musk buying Airbnb and saying, look, because you banned the Russians, I'm going to buy Airbnb. Because that could happen. That could happen. Elon Musk could come out and do that. In fact, speaking of Elon Musk, we got some more news today about Elon Musk. And that news actually sent Twitter up, and then obviously the whole market started to come down. So now Twitter's come down with that. The news is that Elon's actually going to be joining the board of directors of Twitter. So
that Elon Musk is now being appointed to Twitter's board of directors. He's going to serve as what's called a Class 2 director. So we've been talking a lot about what's happened in the past 24 hours. Takes that 9.2% stake. We think it's a passive stake. I think we all thought there was something else going on. This is what's going on. It's going to be appointed as a director. And then the question, of course, is how much influence is he really going to have?
I don't know if we did think it. We never really did think it was a passive stake, although it's all semantics because he's not your normal activist. He's a activist that
he's
wants
much more powerful against things.
Yeah, I don't think he's trying to shake things up.
So the stock moved about 25% yesterday. It's moving about 5% on this news now.
That was earlier, but we all know Elon Musk. I've tried to get Elon on the show. We all know Elon Musk. We know that Elon Musk is not passive anywhere. You know, wherever he goes, he turns things upside down. And you can see that he is planning that at Twitter already. So for one, there is a cap now on the amount of equity that he can own in Twitter. He cannot own more than 14.9% of the equity. And the fact that they built that in shows that they're scared that Elon Musk may actually take over the whole of Twitter. He's now in this learning period, and he could build a competitive platform if Twitter do not agree to modify their content policy. So that's also quite interesting. You saw this whole love thing today of Parag welcoming Elon saying how excited he is to work with Parag, who's the new CEO, and then Jack Dorsey coming in and going, I'm really happy that Elon is joining the board of Twitter. Pretty much maybe to achieve what Jack couldn't, because Jack was apparently all about free speech, and apparently he lost that fight, which is apparently why eventually he left Twitter. But I guess we're going to see a lot of changes, and we're going to see them very quickly, because the one thing that we know is that Elon Musk isn't going to waste any time. And he started today saying, do you want an edit button? So you can see he's slowly going through the list of things that he wants changed. You can see that he's slowly going through this list, and you'll see one at a time. I think we'll start getting these things happening pretty quickly. I wrote him a response earlier. Okay, there, I'm back. Am I back? I should be back.
Yes.
I should be back. Okay, so I don't know what happened. We had a little Wi-Fi outage there.
Lagging.
Is it lagging?
Yeah.
Okay, Carl gone.
Just a second. Cable connected? Cable good.
Okay, am I still lagging?
No.
You are back. You look fresh.
Great. Okay, so you can finally get off.
Now get our face.
Okay, so where were we? We're talking about Elon, and we said that changes are going to be coming pretty quickly. Yeah, Elon will probably sort our studio out. All right, let's get to the fun part. Let's talk about altcoins. And I had a lot of stuff to talk to you about altcoins, but I think we're going to fast forward and we're going to get to the highlight of the show, and that is I wanted to bring José from Delphi Digital, who is one of the biggest investors in the Luna ecosystem. I know they were early investors in, I think, Solana. They were early investors in ThorChain. I also heard a little birdie told me that they were investors in Stargate. And I have a few questions to ask him. And hopefully, if we're lucky, I could squeeze from him the top 5 projects that he's looking at for April. Now, remember, when we bring these people on, it's very hard to squeeze projects because they don't want to tell you what they're investing in, but I think I can do it. With your help, obviously. With your help, I think I can do it. So let me bring him on the stream. José, welcome, my man.
How's it going, man?
How was your vacation? Or are you still on vacation?
No, it was good. I'm back now. It was really good.
Are you back home?
No, I'm in Puerto Rico visiting some of the other Delphi co-founders, and yeah, it's good fun.
Amazing. Listen, a lot happened since we last spoke, and I think one of the highlights of what's happened is that Luna has hit an all-time high. In fact, when I looked at it earlier today, we saw that it was at an all-time high. Let's actually see how it is doing right now. Let's have a look at it. It was at an all-time high earlier when I was looking, and it looks like it's gone parabolic. Yeah, it's almost it. It is an all-time high, 116.55. And in the interim, what happened to my portfolio, I started with a portfolio that looked like that. It was life was good at 1% in Luna, and 99% of my portfolio was in other stuff, good stuff, Bitcoin and other stuff. And then fast forward a couple of years, and my portfolio looks like that. Okay. Now, I'm sure you'll agree with me that that's a very unhealthy portfolio. I can't have a portfolio that looks like that. As much as I believe in Luna, and I do believe in Luna, you'll agree with me that that's not a very healthy portfolio. So I need your help, okay? I need to diversify my portfolio into 4 or 5 other investments, plays, protocols, so that I'm not holding too much Luna. If you were me, where would you put your money?
Damn, yeah, going straight out with it. I have to do the disclaimers. This not financial advice. Probably all the stuff I'm going to mention is stuff that I'm invested in. Labs is invested in Luna and is incubating a bunch of these projects like Astroport and Mars, which are also the ones I'm most bullish on. And obviously Ventures is invested in a lot of stuff too. So yeah, a lot of disclaimers there. But I mean, I'm the way I have, I guess, a lot of exposure to crypto in general through the venture fund, and a lot of projects like you mentioned, like Stargate and Layer Zero, which I'm really bullish on. And so in my kind of personal portfolio, I'm mainly just buying the stuff that I understand really well and where I'm really active in. So it's my portfolio is very Luna focused right now. It's pretty much Luna, a few Luna alts, and cash. So like I'm gonna be very, very biased that way. But yeah, my biggest position is Astroport. Yeah, that's the main DEX on Luna. Delphi Labs was involved in contributing to help make that happen, and we're still like actively contributing to it. Yeah, and I'm very, very excited about that one. Let's maybe break up a discussion into 2 parts, because I really want to dig into the Luna ecosystem with you, because I think that's where we're going to have the most fun. But let's quickly just spend 5 minutes outside of the Luna ecosystem. Okay.
I know we're both fully invested in Luna. Luna/ecosystem. I know for both of us, it's one of our biggest investments, or our biggest investments. But I want to maybe just for 2 seconds look outside that. And I think the reason why I want to look outside that is because Delphi have had huge successes in investments outside of the Luna ecosystem. ThorChain, Axie Infinity. I noticed now that you dipped your feet into Layer Zero and into Stargate. And I'm trying to get a lay of the land before we dig into our favorite.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we're very bullish on bridges generally. We think the world's going to be cross-chain. Like that was the first investment of Delphi Ventures was actually Thorchain, and that was obviously a big bet on the cross-chain thesis. I think at this point it's very hard to deny that the world's going to be cross-chain, and I think not just in terms of bridging around different chains, which I think is going to be a big use case, but like relatively low volume, but also just building cross-chain experiences. So having cross-chain messaging protocols that allow you to do stuff like have your collateral on one chain, take out debt on another chain, and things like this. So we're very interested in that space. I think probably the three big protocols there that we look at are Wormhole, which isn't live yet, doesn't have a token, but built by Jump. Layer 0, which we invested in at the seed round, and we're really excited about. It's a kind of slightly different architecture than what Wormhole does. And obviously they launched recently their Stargate protocol, which we're talked about, and then Synapse, which I think is kind of like semi-centralized right now, but they're all semi-centralized right now. So is Layer 0, but also like a very exciting architecture and one that we're bullish on.
So you're seeing a multi-chain future. You're seeing a cross-chain future. You're seeing a cross-chain, multi-chain future investment in the bridges. What else?
Yeah, both of those. I think cross-chain and multi-chain, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, and what other narratives are you guys following at the moment?
Gaming, we're always super bullish on it. I think it's one of those cases where people got super excited about gaming, and now no one believes that there will ever be a good crypto game, which is ridiculous. There's like some of the best developers ever are building crypto games. Like we're talking people who built EVE Online, who built League of Legends, who built Call of Duty. The like people follow incentives, and crypto gaming is super hot, and I think for good reason. Like for me, that thesis has always made a lot of sense as a gamer, and so we're super excited about that. We're invested in crypto unicorns. Like I have some crypto unicorns personally as well that recently went live. That's a really polished game. Also have some unicorns, so if anyone wants to go for some battling once that's live, definitely down. It's a really well polished game, really great team, and there's a bunch of those coming live soon. These great teams building good games, but that's a liquid one that sort of the audience could check out.
So gaming, cross-chain. What about layer ones? Are you still looking aggressively at layer ones? Where do you think the layer one battle is now?
Yeah, we invested in we made a big investment into Celestia, which is like this sort of modular blockchain thesis, which I think is getting fairly hot now. Which is just the idea that if you assume that like layer 2s are basically blockchains, right? They're basically their own blockchains. Their execution environment is basically a blockchain. And so if you assume that all the execution happens at that level, then what does a layer 1 look like that's just optimized for data availability? So to just serve the needs of layer 2s. And that's really what like Celestia is. It's not live yet, that token, so probably not too actionable for you. In terms of actual layer 1s, I mean, we invested in AVAX, we invested in Solana, we still hold all those. We've not sold any of that. And yeah, we're still very bullish on layer 1s generally, yeah.
So I think I must ask you the question. I asked the guys the question last week, but we said, which token do you think is going to get to $250 first? They were all trading at $90. AVAX, Solana, and Luna were all trading at $90. Question is, which one gets to $250 first? In your mind, which one gets to $250 first? Now, bear in mind, of course, that each one has different tokenomics. For Solana, that means a 1.25 billion fully diluted 125 billion fully diluted market cap. For Luna, it's very variable because of the burn and the Terra burn. But if you were a betting man and you had to take a bet, which one gets to $250 first?
Got to be Luna for me. Yeah, I think the Luna, like the Luna token economics, just means that you don't need a hype cycle or a marginal buyer on Luna, right? You just need the stablecoin, the decentralized stablecoin thesis to keep playing out for Luna to keep growing. And for me, and again, not financial advice, but yeah, for me, the stablecoins are a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Decentralized stablecoins are a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, and so we're still like at the very early innings. You know, like if we're gonna make it, this will be seen as very much the early innings. Like UST is a 16 bill market cap, and it's the biggest decentralized stablecoin by market cap. You know, and if these things are gonna do what we think they're gonna do, they're gonna grow like 100x from here.
Okay, let's dive straight into Luna. So I guess the first part of it is if you look at the circulating supply of Luna and you compare it to the circulating supply of Luna 2 months ago, it looks like if we carry on like this, there is going to be a supply shock coming. There's going to be no Luna left to burn kind of thing.
Yeah, demand for UST has been pretty wild. I think a lot of that is going into Anchor. That's sort of the bearish take, right? Is that the Anchor isn't sustainable. This yield isn't sustainable. It's basically being funded by Kwon, and so once that contracts, like all this UST will go away, because obviously UST people see it as more risky than other stablecoins. I think I don't see it that way. I think Anchor it's like it's paying to go to market, right? So everyone knows about UST now because of Anchor. Like Anchor's the killer app for UST. I think as the yield goes down, it's still going to be the highest yield in the market, and it's also enabling Luna to grow and slowly collateralize itself over time. And like I believe there's enough demand on secondary markets right now that Luna could get to 50% plus collateralization. You know, in Bitcoin. I know people don't like that word, but at least grow the reserve to sort of 50% plus of outstanding UST. And then I think once Anchor rate goes down, there's also the rest of the Terra ecosystem that becomes more attractive, whether it's Mars that will come in, or Astroport, or Prism, and all the other stuff that's being built, where you're going to have like basically a full financial system built around an actual decentralized stablecoin.
Yeah, so I mean, if I look at my view around the Anchor protocol, is Anchor protocol was marketing money. It was if they were to come with a different pitch and say, look, we're going to create a stablecoin. The stablecoin, our deliverables after X amount of time is going to be that you're going to have $16 billion in circulation. You're going to have X amount of account holders. You're going to have X amount of brand recognition, etc. Are you willing to pay 500 million in subsidy rewards plus whatever we funded at the first time? And I guess the answer to that would be, what you're building here is you're building the stablecoin, the protocol, and you're building a bank. Anchor protocol, for lack of a better analogy, is going to be the banking, the biggest bank in the world at some point, the biggest lender depositor platform in the world, possibly. And if someone came to me and said to me, look, that's going to cost you $550 million, I think the answer would be, cool, here's your $550 million, spend it as a marketing budget. What do you think the effect is of the new proposal that went through, where they're going to dynamically reduce the rates of Anchor protocol by 1.5% every month until the yield reserve stops being depleted?
Yeah, we voted for that proposal. So I think it's a good idea. It'll be interesting to see what, like, the marginal, for every 1.5% that the yield declines by, how much UST actually leaves Anchor. Because like the alternative right now is sort of on Aave or something like that is 2%. So I'm not sure, like, I think unless the yield drops under something like 10%, we're not going to see much difference. And it is going to make a pretty significant difference to Anchor sustainability. So I think it's a great proposal.
And I think the timing was also quite good, because it was timed in such a way where TFG started to buy all the Bitcoin. And then at the same time, there was this proposal to say, okay, well, look, by the way, we're also reducing the rate ever so slightly. It's going to go down by about 8% or 10% on the rate. And let's see how that goes, kind of thing. But at the same time, sentiment is at an all-time high and adoption is at an all-time high. And I guess now we start the real test, kind of thing. Let's see what happens when the rates go down. Yeah. At what rate does the market find equilibrium? Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think what people don't get about stablecoins is, like, there's a lot of sort of obsession with over collateralization and like risk parameters and stuff like that, which makes sense. That's how you sustain the peg when there's a bank run, right? When there's no demand. But the thing with stablecoins is they're also like a network effects business. Like, you need to grow to actually win, and it's going to be a winner takes all or winner takes most, realistically, right? There's going to be like a few stablecoins that have all the volume, all the integrations, all the liquidity. And Luna's model, just as we see, just enables it to grow way faster than everyone else, right? And that's what I think also Luna showed, and like other stablecoins are kind of following in the footsteps now, is that you can't just build a stablecoin and then try make it really safe and then try and get other people to integrate you, right? Like DAI tried this, a bunch of other stablecoins tried this, and it's just very slow because no one really has an incentive to integrate you. Whereas what Terra did, and what it did really well, was
build a stablecoin and then build a whole economy around it and build all the use cases around it. So instead of waiting for other people to integrate it, you actually build the use cases around your stablecoin that only serve your stablecoin. And I think that's like there's so much happening right now in the Luna economy, not just and for me, like UST is a new money, right? And money, you want to invest it, save it. So be able to, like with Mirror, you can invest in stocks and gold. With Anchor, you can save it. With Prism, you can do yield splitting, like all these financial tools that you can use to sort of optimize your investments. And then you want to be able to spend it. And that's where we're seeing all these neobanks like Kado, like Cash, go around the world and make UST like very easily spendable. And I think once you have that closed loop, you just like, you never have to leave UST, right? And then it gets really exciting where you have the stable coin that can grow really quickly, is easily spendable, has a really good investment ecosystem, and is also like backed by this BTC reserve. So that's like that's for me is the real bull case for it.
So when we met earlier this year, or maybe it was last year, it was towards the end of last year, we met in Lisbon. We spoke about sleepless nights around Luna potentially depegging and the death spiral. How comfortable are you feeling now with the BTC reserve? And we don't yet know what percentage of the burn is going to start going more towards BTC, but how much more comfortable are you now? How much better are you sleeping at night knowing that this is in place?
I'm definitely much more comfortable than I was when it was a pure algorithmic stablecoin, because obviously algorithmic stablecoins, Luna is the only one that really succeeded, and the model has this like reflexivity that's really hard to reason about. So I'm much more comfortable than I was then. I would still say like right now, LFG has about 3 billion in reserves, 1.5 billion Bitcoin, and about 1.5 billion in stables. And like UST outstanding supply is 16 billion, right? About like, or let's say 12 or so, because 4 is held by the ecosystem reserve. So it's still not a super high sort of reserve ratio, but I do think psychologically it's going to have a massive effect. And also, like, Luna's been working fine without that, right? So this is going to have a huge psychological effect. And I also think, based on simulations we've been doing and stuff we've been looking at, there's a real good path to getting that much higher. So I'm feeling pretty positive about the system right now.
Okay, amazing. So you're not having as many sleepless.
But there's the risk still there, right? That's the risk of this thing. I mean, I think there's two main risks with Luna. I would say the first one is the depeg risk, right? This bank run risk where everyone like just floods this and tries to redeem their UST at once. Luna mints and it goes on that sort of reflexive loop. And the second one is just the BTC reserve. While it added resilience to the system, it did at least temporarily make it less decentralized, right? Where this reserve is being held by the foundation, which I'm a director of. But I think like we have a really good plan to get that to a state where it won't be the case, where it'll be a fully on-chain automated reserve facility, and then we'll get back to a point where it's more decentralized again.
Yeah, Doe's spoken about that in terms of the infrastructure not being ready now to make it fully decentralized. You have to build the infrastructure, you have to build the capabilities to be able to trade it automatically.
Because what are you going to use, right? Like it's WBTC is like a BitGo multi-sig. It's not really ideal, and it's not. You can't like on one hand sort of criticize Maker for using USDC and then have like WBTC, which is a BitGo multi-sig, right? We have to do better than that. And then Thorchain and stuff, and Axelar and all these solutions are really promising, but they just haven't been battle tested with like hundreds of millions, let alone billions of dollars. So it just doesn't make sense to just ape into those without doing your research and so yeah, it's a case of waiting for the infrastructure to be ready.
What about FRAX? So we spoke about Luna as this algorithmic stablecoin.
Yeah.
I think as of 2 days ago, everybody knows what FRAX is, because now that's everyone saw what happened with the curve wars and the pool number 4 that's come out. Are you a believer in FRAX?
Yeah, FRAX is really cool. I have some FXS from I locked it right at the beginning when they launched. FRAX is really cool. It's because it's an algorithmic stablecoin which has collateral, and the collateral is kind of the collateral ratio is determined by the market, which I think is a really cool mechanism. And that team ships really fast. Like they build these AMOs. They're on every single chain. They're coming to more chains pretty soon. Very bullish on FRAX and that team. And I think there's like 7 of them as well, which is pretty crazy considering the amount of stuff that they ship. I think FRAX is probably the only thing with FRAX. Like obviously the downside is it's a USDC. The collateral is USDC, right? Mostly USDC. So it's basically like a USDC wrapper, which, you know, you have the same problem that DAI does, where if most of your collateral is censorable, then you're censorable as well. I don't know, like, I don't think that's a big risk, like, you know, USDC freezing or Circle freezing the vaults of FRAX's vaults, but like, it's just not a decentralized stablecoin at this stage. But I really like the mechanism, and a big fan of the team.
Okay, let's talk about projects on the Luna Terra ecosystem that you're bullish on. You mentioned Astroport. I'm a big believer in Astroport. I told the community to buy in at 60 cents. I made a bold prediction that on the 1st of April it would be $3. I missed it by a day. I mean, it did hit $3, and I see that today. I was looking at it earlier, and Astroport was flying. What's the news that's driving it? What's making why all of a sudden are we getting this run?
Yeah, Astroport is sort of like a cash flow machine. It's been the number 2 or number 3 DEX by volume most of the time for the last sort of like 3 months since launch, which is pretty wild because it's 3 months old, right? And it's been number 2 or number 3 DEX in the world by volume in that time. And so those fees, it's also, so as most DEXs on the XYK pool, it charges 30 bips, and on the sort of stable swap pools, it charges 5 bips, so 0.05 for those who don't know bips, and 0.3 for the XYK pool. But the fee capture is actually much higher. So the stakers capture 10 bips so a third of the fees on the XYK and half of the fees on the stable swap, which is much higher than others around. And so the actual returns to stakers are also very high, as we can see with xASTRO staking finally launching last week, which made those sort of cash flows capturable for people and made people realize just how much, because that APY is purely based on fees. There's no inflation or anything subsidizing that. It's literally just trading fees generated by the exchange. And so I think once xASTRO went live last week, which is the staking and being able to capture that staking yield, people realized the yield was really high. And then at the same time, you have this situation where once xASTRO goes live, a lot of the Astro that was sitting in LP suddenly moves to the xASTRO staking. So you have a lower LP base. And then at the same time, you have these Astro wars prep where people are trying to get all the Astro ready for when VXASTRO launches, which is like we can go into that later, which is like the VCRV. And there just isn't that much Astro to go around, right? Like in the next year, there's only going to be 200 million Astro out there. And with staking yield being really high, it's going to be hard to find, it's hard to find sellers. So it's just the price just getting kind of squeezed upwards. And obviously I own a lot of Astro, including locked Astro. So I'm always going to be bullish Astroport. So take everything I say with a grain of salt or whatever.
Look, I'm also fully invested in Astro, but I think it's good to have this discussion. For those who don't know the difference between Astro, xASTRO, and VEASTRO, which is not yet live on the site, quickly walk us through the difference for anyone that doesn't understand. Yeah.
Do you think people understand VCRV or I guess not. No one really understands VCRV.
It's the boost. It's the token that basically boosts your yield, so to speak, right?
Yeah. So the idea is xASTRO is similar to xSushi. So it's just like all you do is stake your Astro, and basically Astroport takes half of the fees that it generates. It uses those to buy back Astro and deposits them into the xASTRO pool. So over time, one xASTRO entitles you to more Astro, right? Which is where this like APY comes from. So that's xASTRO, and then VXASTRO it adds a time locking component to this. So basically, if you're bullish Astro, you can signal that by locking your xASTRO for up to 2 years, and depending how long you lock for, you get more or less VXASTRO. So obviously, the longer you lock, the more VXASTRO you get, and VXASTRO gives you 3 main benefits. First of all, it gives you another half of fees, so you get double the fees. So and you get that pro rata based on how much VXASTRO you own. The second thing it entitles to is this boosty, which basically, if you're an LP on Astroport and you're getting a certain yield, you can boost that yield via VXASTRO up to 2.5 times. So you can get up to 2.5 times boosted yield if you also own VXASTRO and attach that to your LP position. So that's the kind of the second benefit. And the third benefit is it allows you to vote on what pools on Astroport receive issuance. So right now, issuance is like hard-coded. The pools are getting different amounts. But once the xASTRO launches, it's going to be, you have a certain amount of Astro that kind of goes out every day. And then each pool has what we call a generator, which in Curve is called a gauge. And people can vote for those pools. And based on the top 10 pools by votes, receive the issuance in proportion to the votes they receive. And so Astro ends up being, it ends up being really important, because if you're an LP and you want to maximize your yield, you need to own the xASTRO. If you're a project and you want your pool 2 to receive Astro so you don't have to subsidize it as much, you need to own Astro. If you're just an investor and the projects that you invest in, you want to make sure the pool 2s are liquid, you want to own Astro. So it ends up being a battle to sort of own Astro, because you get to direct, where this issuance goes, and you get to boost your LP yield over time.
So we're going to get another Curve Wars, or another Curve convex situation where people are going to start fighting for the VX Astro and try and control as many of the votes as possible, and maybe start getting bribes. And are we going to see that movie playing out again?
We are, yeah. I mean, I think it might be slightly different, but we are. So Retrograde, Reactor, and Apollo are all vying to be the convex on top of Astroport. So they will be trying to. So Apollo already has about 1.2 million Astro. Retrograde and Reactor will be launching and designing token models that allow them to capture as much Astro as possible, with the goal of then becoming this proxy exposure where they can basically use that Astro, take bribes in order to vote a certain way, or just give that Astro as proxy voting power to their token holders, and also run their own liquidity pools and maximize yield to those. And so we're going to have these wars. Sorry, go ahead.
Wouldn't it be then smarter to lock your Astro in one of these pools, so you get the rewards and you'd get the platform token, as opposed to just locking it up in Astroport?
Yeah, I mean it's compelling, right? So the trade-off is, it's like when you lock your Astro with Astroport and you get this VX Astro, it's not tradable, right? It's illiquid. Whereas when you lock it with these platforms, the big benefit with that is that they make it liquid. So you give them Astro, they lock it for VX Astro, and then they give you back this liquid staking derivative, which will be called, let's say, Retro Astro or Apollo Astro, or based on whatever the name of the platform is, and that is liquid. And then they kind of maintain a peg by incentivizing a pool on Astroport with those two assets. So the advantage of going with them is that you have first of all, you have extra yield, as you said, because they're going to subsidize it with their own token, and then you also have this liquid staking token that you can sell at any point. The disadvantage is you never get your Astro back, and so if that peg breaks, you're kind of screwed. Now, Convex has done a really good job maintaining the peg, right? And it's been really successful for them. But like, for instance, Yearn's peg. So Yearn was the Convex before Convex. Their peg kind of sucked, right? Because they didn't really incentivize it as much. They don't believe in incentives that much. So it remains to be seen which one of these platforms can really sustain a good peg. Because otherwise, the thing when you put your Astro in these platforms is you can't get it out. It's locked. So you get this Retro Astro thing back. So you have to believe that peg will hold. So that's the big risk, basically.
Okay, listen, we've got 3 more minutes. I was hoping to chat to you for longer, but we did a little bit out of time. Other projects that are coming onto Luna, or that are on Luna Terra right now, that you guys are excited about, whether you built them, whether you're invested in them, whether you're helping them, we don't mind just trying to get it for someone who's spending all his whole day, researching this ecosystem and building on this ecosystem. What excites you?
Yeah, I'm excited about Prism. We don't have any affiliation with that team. I own Prism that I just bought on the market, but it's just a really strong team. Honestly, I've never been excited about yield splitting. It's like APY or sort of Pendle on Ethereum, but I think it makes a lot of sense on Terra, and I think that team is great. They're just shipping really quick and really well.
Just for those people who don't know what Prism is, Prism, if I understand correctly, allows you to take the yield from your investment and split it into wherever you need the yield to go. So some into pot 1, some into pot 2. So you can pay, for example, you can pay bills, you can make investments by splitting the yield that you earn on your Luna, right?
Yeah, sort of. So you can take your Luna and basically, so Luna has a cash flow, right? A staking cash flow, and then it has just its principal value. And so you split your Luna into Y Luna, which is the future, entitles you to all the future yield on Luna, and your P Luna, which is just the remainder. And so basically it then allows you to kind of hedge interest rate risk, and do all sorts of, there's a lot of cool use cases for Prism once you have that split. But you could do that for anything, right? You could do that for Astroport LP tokens. So you could split the tokens into the underlying and then just the yield. And someone can just then speculate on the yield of a certain LP pool, for example. You could do it with Anchor, right? With Anchor's AUST, you could split it into the future yield. So for example, if you wanted to bring forward your future yield, you could go in there, split your AUST into the yield portion and the principal portion, sell your yield portion, and then you're kind of like taking that yield. And so there's a lot of like really cool use cases for it, and it's just a really good team. Another one I'm excited about is Apollo. They have this war chest with a lot of ASTRO in it. Well, a decent amount of ASTRO in it already, and then they're going to be being the convex on top of Astroport, or trying to be a convex on top of Astroport, and also doing leveraged yield farming and stuff. Retrograde, I'm excited about. Retrograde and Reactor, which are the other two convexes that haven't launched yet. And then other than that, I mean, Nexus is another great team building cool stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening on the Terra ecosystem right now. It's an exciting time. Obviously Mars, I'm always it's another one that we helped build, so very, very bullish on that.
Listen, we need to do this again. We need to do a whole episode and just talk about Luna. I mean, that's what we need to do. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to have to ping you again, and we're going to have to do it again. I was hoping.
No worries.
There's just so much alpha here that you just want to keep listening. So we'll have to do it again, my man.
No worries, man. Yeah,
you
mentioned before Luna, Solana. Solana, the ecosystem also has a lot of cool stuff that we could talk about. But yeah, we can do it on another episode.
Hey, Fred, let's do this. Fred, you, if you hear me, make it happen. Brother, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Really appreciate the alpha.
See you soon, man.
Yeah, man. Wow, I could have stayed speaking to him all day. We need to get him back. We need to do like one show on Solana, one show on Luna. The guy is super smart. Super smart, an unbelievable investor. Once a week's a lot. Once a week's a lot. Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. All right, let's do some giveaways. So I did promise you guys giveaways. Did we get you 3,000 likes? Because right now, those giveaways, if I give you $200 of those giveaways now, it's worth $1,400. That's 7x. That's what the number is. Also, let's double some people's portfolios. You know how this works. If you have a ByBit account with a Crypto Banter referral link, you deposit money into your ByBit account. We then take your ByBit account and we double the balance in your ByBit account. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight up to $5,000. So here we go. We don't have the likes, so we're not going to give away ADASwap. Okay. 1.9. Okay, so then people don't win. I mean, okay, so 4,650. That is, let's unhide the columns. Let's go back to 4,650 and see who won and how much they won. Remember, it's only up to $5,000. I'm very worried that we're going to get hit with a whale, and then I'm going to have to pay. Okay, so we have one account was $17.95. No, it becomes an admin nightmare to triple it. $59, we're doubling your portfolio. $100, we're doubling your portfolio. $832, double your portfolio. And $205, I'm doubling your portfolio. And remember, if you want your portfolio doubled, there's a referral link below. Sign up with a referral link, deposit money into your account, and put money into the account so I can double the portfolio. Where are all the big people? Where are all the big accounts? Okay, I see some big ones. All right, I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, have fun. Trade well, my friends.